8 years ago, my best friend vanished during a game of hide and seek at our school. Last night, I got a text from her number. There is a prestigious Chinese private school tucked away in the quiet suburbs, far from China. Most students just complained about the strict rules, but a few of us understood the darker truth. The campus was built directly over an ancient, forgotten graveyard. 8 years ago, when I was 16, my best friend May and I stayed late for evening tutoring. By the time the teacher left, it was a little past 7 p.m. The sun had completely set, leaving the large 7-story building shrouded in darkness. Instead of going home, we decided to play hide and seek. The rules were simple. The entire building was fair game. Floor 1, administrative offices. Floor 2, a grand auditorium. Floor 3, the computer lab and library. Floors 4 to 6, standard classrooms. Floor 7, an abandoned hospitality training room. Long stripped bare and locked off, or so we thought. I stood on the first floor, closed my eyes against the wall, and began counting to 100. Around number 40, I heard a sharp, blood-curdling scream echo from above. I giggled to myself. May loved jump scares. I figured she was just trying to scare me. I finished counting and started my search. As I moved from floor to floor, things felt off. On the third floor, the computer screen suddenly flickered to life with static, then died. On the 5th floor, I heard soft, wet footsteps in an empty classroom. But when I stepped inside, the room was dry and empty. Still, I kept going, assuming May was trying to frighten me. Finally, I reached the 7th floor. The elevators were shut off for the night, so I had to take the dim, concrete stairwell. When I pushed open the heavy door to floor 7, a suffocating stench hit my throat. It was a disgusting mix of sweet, heavy Thai ritual perfume, rotting flowers, and copper, the unmistakable scent of death. I turned slightly to the left into the hallway. My heart sank. The corridor stretched on impossibly long, far longer than the building itself should have allowed. The only light came from the pale moon filtering through dusty windows, revealing floating specks of ash. Halfway down the long hall stood a silhouette. A girl faced me in the dark. Thinking the game was over, I let out a nervous laugh and shouted, "May!" Stop playing around. "You're seriously creeping me out!" The figure didn't move. Then a voice echoed down the hall. It wasn't May. It sounded like dozens of women whispering together, raspy and hollow. "It's so late. Why haven't you gone home yet? Or do you want to stay here with me? Forever?" Before I could react, the silhouette twisted its spine, bent double, and looked at me upside down from between its legs. In a split second, it started sprinting, contorting violently, and lunging toward me at an inhuman speed down the corridor. I screamed, turned on my heel, and ran. I threw myself down the dark stairwell. Halfway to floor 4, my foot caught a step, and I tumbled painfully, crashing onto the cold concrete. Pain shot through my ankle, but sheer terror propelled me back to my feet. I didn't dare look back. I heard the rhythmic, sickening thump, thump, thump of something dropping down, the stairs right behind me. I burst through the ground floor doors and ran all the way home without stopping. Safely in my room, trembling and bleeding, I called May. No answer. I sent her a message. "May, please tell me you made it home." "What was that? Answer me!" A second later, the status changed. Read. No reply followed. May didn't come to school the next day. I texted her again. This time, it stayed unread. Days turned into weeks. The police searched the school, the forest behind the graveyard, everything. They found nothing.
It has been 8 years now.
May was officially declared missing, but I know she never left that 7th floor. And the worst part? Last night, after 8 years of total silence, my phone vibrated. A message from May's old number appeared on my screen. Your turn to hide.
I lost my relationship, my education, and my teenage years. I don't really talk about this part of my life much, but I've been carrying it around for years. It all started when I met her when I was 7 years old. We weren't friends back then, but we knew each other because she used to come to the same playground. When I was around 11, we became friends, and between the ages of 12 and 14, we started dating. We both had our own friend groups. Looking back, something always bothered me. I later found out that some of my own friends had been telling her behind my back that she shouldn't be with me because she could find someone better. Finding that out years later really hurt. She was a year older than me and seemed to know what she wanted in life. When I was 15, she became pregnant. I still remember her parents telling me how proud they were that I stayed with her instead of running away. At the time, that meant a lot to me because I was trying to do what I thought was right. After our child was born, everything changed. When the baby was about 3 months old, she suddenly told me, "Don't touch me. I don't want to be with you anymore." I was completely shocked. I couldn't understand what had happened or why everything had changed so suddenly. About 5 months later, she had a new boyfriend. That was incredibly painful to see, and it made me feel like our relationship hadn't meant as much to her as it did to me. After we broke up, I felt like I became the person everyone blamed. Her parents said it was my fault that she couldn't go back to a normal school, even though I was just a teenager trying to figure things out myself. When I was around 18, I was ordered to pay child support. I didn't want my mom to have to pay it for me. So I made the decision to leave school and start working so I could support my child myself. That meant giving up my education, and it changed the direction of my life. What still hurts is that nobody seemed to care about how all of this affected me. Everyone expected me to step up, and I did, but no one asked what it cost me. I never got to finish school, and I've spent years wondering how different my life might have been if I'd had more support. I'm not writing this to avoid responsibility for my child. I know being a parent comes with responsibilities. I'm writing this because I rarely hear people talk about what it's like to become a father at such a young age, how much it can change your life, and how alone you can feel while trying to do the right thing. My wife left me after 10 years of marriage. She thought she was taking everything. She forgot who built it. When my wife asked for a divorce after 10 years together, she didn't cry. She smiled. She sat across from me at the kitchen table and told me she'd outgrown me. According to her, I wasn't ambitious enough anymore. I wasn't exciting. I was too focused on work and living like an old man. The part that stung wasn't even the divorce. It was when she said, "My family's business will always be here. I'll never have to worry about money." I just nodded. "You'll be fine," she added. "You always land on your feet." She wasn't wrong. What she didn't know was why. Her family owned one of those online businesses everyone thought blew up overnight. Millions in yearly sales. Thousands of orders every week. Warehouses. Employees, the whole thing. To everyone else, her dad was the genius behind it. Behind the scenes, I built the website. I negotiated every supplier contract. I automated shipping. I handled payroll. I managed taxes. I personally covered cash flow whenever sales dipped. For 6 years, I'd quietly loaned the company money whenever they were short. No interest. No publicity. I never wanted credit because they were family. Most people assumed I was just the quiet husband. I preferred it that way. So when the divorce was finalized, I didn't argue. I transferred my ownership shares exactly like the lawyers agreed. I resigned from my position, canceled every personal guarantee attached to the business, stopped funding inventory, and walked away. I never threatened anyone. I never asked for revenge. I simply stopped doing work nobody knew I was doing. The first week, nothing happened. The second week, payroll was delayed. The third week, suppliers refused to ship because invoices hadn't been paid. Then their website crashed. Apparently nobody else knew how to maintain it. Orders piled up. Customers demanded refunds. Negative reviews flooded social media. Advertising campaigns shut off because they were linked to my business accounts. Within 2 months, revenue had dropped by almost 60%. My ex-wife called me for the first time since the divorce. She didn't ask how I was. She asked if I could just help for a little while. I told her I wasn't qualified. There was silence. Then she whispered, "Please." I wished her the best and hung up. A week later, her father called. He wasn't angry. He sounded defeated. He admitted he'd never realized how much I actually did. He apologized for treating me like I was just another employee. I thanked him. Then I told him I had already accepted another job. That part wasn't entirely true. I hadn't taken another job. I'd started my own company. Funny enough, several of their biggest suppliers and business partners reached out after hearing I'd left. They wanted to work with me instead. Within a year, my company was doing better than I'd ever imagined. One afternoon, I ran into my ex-wife at a coffee shop. She looked exhausted. She asked if I was seeing anyone. I told her yes. She looked down at the floor and quietly said, "I made the biggest mistake of my life." Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. But I smiled, wished her well, picked up my coffee, and walked away. The last thing I ever heard about her family's business was that they sold it for a fraction of what it had once been worth. People still think they lost everything because of bad luck. Only 4 people know the truth. Sometimes the most important person in the room is the one nobody notices until they're gone. My family betrayed me, so I got revenge in the best way possible. Around a decade ago, I founded a small tech startup. I put everything I had into it, time, money, and endless nights of hard work. Slowly but surely, the company grew into a successful enterprise. I was proud of what I had built from scratch. Things were going well until my younger sister, Sarah, 29F, graduated from a prestigious business school. My parents had always favored Sarah, doting on her and showering her with praise. When she graduated, they started pushing for her to join my company. They believed she had the business acumen to take it to new heights. At first, I welcomed her involvement. It was nice having family around, and she had some innovative ideas. But things quickly took a turn. Sarah began making decisions without consulting me. She was charming and persuasive, and before I knew it, she had won over the key members of my team. Then came the ultimate betrayal. During a family dinner, my parents announced their plan to transition leadership of the company to Sarah. They felt she was better suited to lead it into the future. I was stunned. This was my company. My blood, sweat, and tears had built it, and they were trying to take it away from me. I tried to reason with them, but they were adamant. They believed Sarah was the future of the company, and they wanted me to step aside. Hurt and betrayed, I realized I couldn't let this happen. I started planning my next move. I knew the company inside and out, including its vulnerabilities. Quietly, I began transferring the most valuable contracts and assets to a new entity I created. I made sure all the key clients and top talent were on board with the move. One day, while Sarah and my parents were busy planning their takeover, I announced my resignation. I revealed that I had started a new company and was taking the best parts of the old one with me. They were shocked and furious, but there was nothing they could do. The groundwork had been laid perfectly. The new company flourished, and I never looked back. As for my old company, it struggled without its core team and key clients. My family's betrayal had backfired spectacularly.